I'm Sean and welcome back to BISG, guys. Today we're going to be doing a oil change and replacing some seals on my 90. So I'm going to dive into that with you guys, show you why it's important, show you why you got to do it. Because if you don't, I think we all know what's going to happen. Ooh, look what we got here. FCP Euro. That's the way to go. So as soon as I get this box open, alrighty. Alright, so we've got the oil, which I run Liquid Moly 540 in my car. The reason I don't use 530 is because if you look in the manual, it will tell you that they use 530 for cooler weather or cooler climate areas. 540 is for warmer, hotter environments like Florida. So we got the oil, we got the oil filter, basically the oil change kit, and then these seals here. So this seal here, I believe, is the one that goes for the oil cooler. I do have the other one for the oil filter housing, and then I went ahead and picked up some gaskets for my intake manifold. I would say if you're going to remove your intake manifold, you know, for what these cost, just replace them every time. Not a big deal. And then for this, I picked up the DTML pump. So I'll get into this later. But yeah, that's about it. So let's do this. So let's take a look here. So we've got a lot of grime build up. And I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's get this. But these two lines here for my oil cooler, there's two rubber O-rings that goes on the end of these. I think this is going to be my second time replacing these. So I would say just keep an eye on these. When you do see them leaking, they're super easy to replace. It's one bolt that goes in there to hold both of them together. You undo that and then replace the O-ring. And you can pick those O-rings up at your local hardware or local parts store. Other than that, got more oil here, I think. And there's a bunch of buildup there. So I'm gonna take this apart and replace the seals because it's probably about time. Now if you don't do this, what could end up happening is you get a lot of oil that drifts down onto your belt, and you can actually cause your belt to fly off and tear up a lot of stuff. So make sure you do this. Alright, so I'm gonna drain the oil first. Also, make sure that when you drain your oil, make sure your pan is lined up accordingly so you don't make a mess. right, there we go. Alright, so while the oil's draining, I'm going to start taking off these bolts. I'm going to open this first so it's not too tight. And then I'm going to start removing these plugs. I know at some point I'm going to have to take off the intake manifold and my charge pipe. So maybe I'll start there first. Right now, to me, it doesn't really matter because at some point I know I'm going to have to do one or the other. And then I'm going to have to get these lines off. So I'm going to set up some pig mats under here just so the extra oil that's sitting in these lines doesn't pour out all over the place and all over my engine. And we should be good. Alright, got that loose. Alright, so I'll leave that right there. Yeah, that should be good. Leave that there. I'm gonna remove this nut. Now, if I really wanted to, I could just remove the fan shroud. I don't want to because I don't feel like doing extra work. Just take this off.
A few moments later.
Alright, so let's get in here real good. Alright, so might be hard to show you guys from this angle, but on the end there are two O-rings towards the base of this. Let me see. Yeah. So over time they do go bad. They do go bad, but it's not really a hard thing to change. I'm now gonna work on removing this housing, which is my oil cooler housing, and then I'll get into removing my oil filter housing. Yeah, make sure you take this hose off so that some of your coolant drains. I should have mentioned that. Where'd it go? There it is. Alright, I think the problem is right here. Yep. So it's definitely time to replace that. Alright guys, so there are 3 E10 bolts that holds the housing in place. So you have one here, you have one that's on this side, which the easiest way to get that one out would be to take off your this coolant hose. I like to even call it like the Mickey Mouse flange for coolant. So it's 2 bolts, pop that off, and then you're able to get to this one. You could use a 8mm wrench, but this bolt was too tight for me to actually use that, so I just played it safe and took this off to get to that one. Now The other bolt is it's tucked up under there. You can't really see it right now, but that's why we have to take this off, or at least pull it back some so we can get to the last bolt. So, let's see if I can get in there. Alright, so that bolt right there is the bolt we need to remove. And then I'll replace these gaskets here. We should be good. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up, make sure that the surface is ready for the new seal. And then if you look down here, you can see where the oil's been trickling down and then running down the side of the block and then making its way down here. So it's really good that you clean that. That way, once all of this is put back together and you start it up and let it run for a little bit, you can check for leaks instead of, you know, second guessing if that was just residual oil or is that, you know, oil that's currently coming out at the time. But yep, we're getting there. What's going on, guys? It is the next day. I kind of just called it early yesterday because I was kind of running out of time, but I did kind of tidy up a few things here and clean the surfaces up. So right now I got that cleaned, cleaned this up, and got all the remaining bits of the old gaskets. I got to do the manifold gaskets and should be good to start putting this stuff back together. I'll change the gaskets on the manifold and put that back in, and then after that we'll start diving into the other stuff I've got to do. So update, guys. When I initially pulled this hose off, there's a O-ring followed by this ring, this plastic ring. It's kind of in this order. In this hose that popped off. I didn't really think much about it at first, but when I went to go put it back together, seems like the O-ring decided to expand. So now it's just being difficult to get back in there. I picked up a new one. It's supposed to look like this. You can see that ring in there and then the O-ring in there. So it's not a big deal. I just gotta take this stuff off and replace that, and it should be good. Other than that, lines are put back on. Oil filter is back in. New oil filters in. So all this is ready to go. Got the intake manifold to put back on, and then it will be time to work on the bottom.
2,000 years later.
Alright guys, so this is going to be the last thing oil related that I'm doing today as far as leaks. Now this is the oil return block off plug, and for any of you that are single turbo, you know what I'm talking about. Now when I bought the dock race kit, they gave me like a metal freeze plug, and that ended up leaking, and then I went with Vargas's plug, and the thing I liked about theirs is that it's a screw or a bolt, and then it's got a rubber O-ring on the inside, and it seals it off. Since then it's obviously leaking, so I'm gonna pull it out, inspect the O-ring, maybe replace it, and then try to put like an RTV around that as well to kind of add to sealing. But all this oil back here that's leaking is caused from that plug right there. Alright, so it might be hard to see, but look like a piece of the O-ring here is missing a chunk, so that would explain the leaking. But I'll go ahead and replace it, and then I might put like a small bead of RTV on the back here, so that way when the plug goes in it should seal it up even better, and she'll be good to be put back in. So you guys wondering what's the best way to pour your oil in? You just take your bottle, you put it like this, right? And then you start getting that good old pour in there. There you go. No funnel needed. And if you really wanted to, you could just dump that upside down. Oh, not good.
Please, no! 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 No!
Not good. Just, there you go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Good. There you go. There's a little trick there. See, you know, no leaks. No leaks. Nothing there. It's all good. All right. Got about 5-6 more quarts to go. And then we could do the coolant bleed because I had this coolant hose off. So I'll do the coolant bleed on this. I'll show you guys how to do it. Super simple once you know the procedure to get the pump to turn on to bleed that, and it'll be good. Alright, when it comes to this big jug, the cool thing about liquid moly bottles is you got this little thing that pops out here, and then you just, you know, you just unscrew it. And then you just gotta be so careful with this one. I'm definitely gonna spill it. Oh no, I got it. I mean, I guess you could use a funnel, but you know, I didn't feel like grabbing one, so this works. Alright, so before I do the coolant bleed, I'm going to pop in this DMTL pump, is what it's called. Yep, DMTL pump, or your leak detection pump. I had a code for it, and I did check my evap system and didn't really see anything wrong with there. I checked the valve, I think purge valve that's up there that plugs into your throttle body. That was good, so I'm gonna go ahead, pop this in. I won't bored you guys with that on how to do that. Just look up a video, there's plenty out there on how to replace that. And then once I get that in, I'll show you guys how to do the coolant bleed, and we'll be able to start it up, check for leaks, and hopefully there'll be none. Alright, so we're gonna do this coolant bleed procedure using the electric water pump. So we're gonna take the key. Okay, we're gonna push the start one time. Alright. And then we're gonna set the heat to max. Set this to max. And then we're going to turn the fan speed down to 1, and then you're going to hit the gas pedal for 10 seconds. Alright, so now we're going to leave it like that. I had this held for 10 seconds. The way that you know that your pump has been activated and doing its thing is you'll kind of hear the pump, or you'll kind of hear like water sloshing around, coolant sloshing around is what you'll hear. That's kind of how you know that your pump's going. I'll kind of See if we can hear it. Yep. So I don't know if you guys can hear that right now, but that is the pump doing its thing. And then you want that, you kind of want to leave it like this for about 8 to 10 minutes. But it's gonna kick on and shut off, you know, constantly. Also make sure that you top this off before you do this procedure.